You should get one of these.
No, thank you.
It is a fitness orb, and it has completely changed my life. Forget everything you thought you knew about ab workouts.
Done. Okay, you know what? How much is that?
It's only 25 bucks.
Okay.
Well, that looks like that was a New Year's resolution. Welcome to Flynndogg Woodwork and Happy New Year. So this year I put out well over 100 videos, and some of these videos were tool reviews. So I thought it would be a great idea to look at some of these videos and pick out the best tools of 2023. So let's take a look at my top 20 picks. So this video is a little bit of a challenge for me as I looked at a lot of tools this year. I would guess well over 200 tools. And there's a lot of tools that I've reviewed this year that didn't make this list, but they're still great tools. So let me tell you how I compiled this list. The first thing that I did was I Amazon deep on my own order history. In order to make this list, I had to purchase this tool. The next requirement to be on this list was the tool couldn't be dusty. That means that I've regularly used this tool on projects over the last year. And the final requirement to be on this list is I wanted these tools to be affordable. In fact, the most expensive tool on this list is $149, and most of these tools are well under $30.
Not bad at all.
And we've got a lot to take a look at today, so this video is going to be a little bit faster paced, and we're not going to dig into as many details as we usually do. So let's get started and hammer through our top 20 list of 2023. So our first 5 items are all about drilling and driving, and the first item I thought was a gimmick. That is until I strapped it to my driver.
He say strap in or strap on.
And our first item is the Driverback. This amazing impact driver accessory can fit almost any brand of impact driver, from Festool to Ryobi and anywhere in between. Having your most commonly used bits attached to your impact driver really is a time saver. And the bits for this tool can be customized to any bits of your preference. In my case, Star bits, Robinson bits, as well as Phillips head. You can use one bit for a while, pull it out, and have it retract back into its magnetic holster. After that, you can pull out your next bit and begin working with that. Not to mention, you're not going to be scrambling trying to find that loose bit that you just had in your hand a minute ago. Don't like the idea of having all your bits attached to your impact driver?
No, I don't like that.
Well, that's where our next tool comes into play. Our next item is the Bit Holder Carabiner. This thing is awesome, and I love carabiners. In fact, I did a whole video on carabiner tools about a year ago. This tool comes in a pack of 2 carabiners, however, I just took the bit holders and placed them on one carabiner. By having all these bit holders on one carabiner, it makes it very easy to have all your bits with you on your apron. And the bit holders work in the same fashion as your impact driver. You simply slide the collar up to release the bit and slide the collar down to attach it. So if you're like me and you're constantly losing your bits, our first 2 tools are a great option. Our next tool is the universal socket, and this really came in handy when I was remodeling my shop. First off, this socket is much sturdier than you might expect. It's got a lot of heft to it and it's quite well made. But it's all about the pins with this socket. As you place things like lag screws into the socket, you can see how those pins depress and cradle the head of the screw. And those pins give you a firm grip with zero slippage in my experience. You can easily drive in lag screws into hardwoods. And most importantly, you're not having to carry around a bunch of wrenches or a socket set wherever you go.
Sock it to me.
Next on our list is a countersink bit that I think's got a leg up on the industry's best. Now, when I refer to the industry's best, I'm referring to the Amana countersink bit, and I know you've seen this as this is all over YouTube.
All over YouTube.
But in order to adjust the depth of that countersink bit, you need to grab an Allen key to adjust the tool. So you'll have to fiddle through your Allen keys to find the right size, and then you can adjust it with the screw on the side. But this countersink bit requires no hardware other than your fingers. Just like with the Amana countersink bit, this bit also has the braking system on the very end. But instead of having to reach for an Allen key to adjust the depth of the countersink, all you need to do to get your depth is to rotate the bit one way or another to get your desired depth. Our 5th tool is all about drill bit organization. If you're like me, you have a couple of piles of drill bits laying around the shop that you have no idea what size they are.
Yep, that's me.
And a drill bit that goes unsized is typically a drill bit that doesn't get used. And that's why I love this simple drill bit gauge. This goes all the way from 1/2 of an inch down to 1/16 of an inch. so you can easily take your drill bits and place them into the holes to figure out exactly what size they are.
Giggity, giggity.
And once you have your drill bits sized and organized, you're going to find yourself going to the hardware store a lot less trying to replace those misplaced bits. Well, that covers our first 5 items. Now let's move on to our next 3 items, which have everything to do with safety. So our first safety item may sound like it's one of the most expensive tools on today's list, but it's really one of the cheaper ones. This is the $10 million stick. And this is called the $10 million stick because it's putting a value of $1 million on each one of your fingers. So hopefully you still have all 10.
I'm only showing 8 fingers.
And in my opinion, this tool is a miter saw essential, especially when you're making those tighter cuts. And that's because if you ever need to make smaller cuts, the direction of the blade is spinning towards the back. So if the wood gets caught on the blade, it will automatically draw your hand towards that blade. So having a tool like this reduces the risk of having your fingers drawn towards that blade. And there's a variety of different configurations that you can use this tool. You can use both pads on the Y, you can use one pad on the Y, or you can flip it around to use the opposite pad. And having a 3-point contact is the most stable way that you can control your workpiece. So you can save your fingers and save some money with this miter saw essential, the $10 million stick. Our next item is a tool that I love so much that I actually bought 2 of these. And this tool is perfect for either your jointer or your table saw. This is the Milescraft Grabber Plus.
A grabber.
Now I've had a lot of paddles in my life before, and before I got the Milescraft, my preferred paddle was the Micro Jig Grip Block. The problem is the little tabs on the front and the back are very difficult to put up and down. But Milescraft solved that problem. They solved it with springs. If we look at the bottom of the tab, you can see there's a rubber grip. On either side, there's a spring-loaded tab that allows you to give support to your workpiece as you're pushing it either through your table saw or your jointer. And if you want those pads out of your way, you simply depress them and tighten the knob on the top. But since they're spring-loaded, I prefer to have them down for every cut. But maybe you don't want a paddle, you want a push stick. Well, I've got you covered there as well. And this next tool is made by a company that's made some waves in the featherboard industry over the last couple of years. These 2 push sticks are made by Bow Products. They come in a 12-inch variety as well as an 18-inch variety. Now what I like about these push sticks is they're interchangeable. You can change out the tops on these push sticks and they have the hard foam rubber on the very tip. The foam is firm enough to give you a good grip, but it also conforms a bit to give you a secure feel. And not only are the tips interchangeable, but they're also replaceable and double-sided. If we remove the tip, you can see it's got 2 usable sides. So if you have some mangled up heads on your push sticks, you might want to give these push sticks a look.
Mangled beyond recognition.
Well, that takes us through the 3 safety items of the year. Now let's move on to our next 2 items, which involve magnets. Our first magnetic item is the Holstrey magnetic belt clip. And one thing I have to say about this clip is it is powerful. It easily slides and clips over any belt. And the reason I got this clip was to hold my tape measure, as I lose my tape measure all over my shop. And since the blades on tape measures are made out of steel, this thing will attract any tape measure. And in the video I did about this clip, I tested this thing out on all 28 of my tape measures, and there wasn't one tape measure that didn't stick to this clip. But you could use this clip for just about any tool that's magnetic. Just look at the way it holds this hammer. So if you want to save some money on tape measures, check out this Holstrey mag clip. Our next magnetic tool is a simple switchable magnet, but it comes at a great price. So most of us are familiar with mag switches. These are great magnets and they're great for things like jigs as well as stop blocks on your table saw. But mag switches can be quite expensive. Once you get above 100 pounds of magnetic force, you're looking at about $50 to $60 per magnet. And my most powerful mag switch is this 150-pound one that costs about $55. However, Mangetpro makes a 180-pound one that costs just a little bit over $30. And that was a savings that I just couldn't ignore, and apparently a lot of other people couldn't as well, as this item is currently unavailable. And both of these magnets work in the same way, twisting them on and off to give you the support you need. So keep an eye out for Mangetpro, as these are great alternatives to some of those more expensive mag switches. Well, that takes us through our first 10 items and 10 more left to go. Before we move on to our next item, I ask you to do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and leave a comment. It really does help out this small woodworking channel. Also, for all these best of 2023 tools that we're taking a look at today, I'll leave links in the description below, so if you're interested in any of these items, you can go check them out for yourself. Also, leave a comment and let me know what your favorite tool from 2023 was. And if you have an idea for 2024, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. The next item I want to cover is a clamp, and we all know you can never have too many clamps. I wonder if that means you can never have too many clamp racks.
Pretty sure it doesn't.
Either way, these are some clamps that really impress me with their expandability options. These clamps are the Jorgensen Easy Holds, and these clamps have very similar features to many other clamps. You can use them as clamps or spreaders. But these clamps have a hidden feature that's worth noting. So have you ever tried to clamp something up that's just a little bit longer than your clamps will reach, and then you try to jerry-rig it so that you can reach that distance? Well, if you've ever done that, you know that there's a good chance that those clamps will slip, probably when you're not looking, and mess up your glue up. Well, Jorgensen has solved this problem. If we look at the very end of the clamp, you can see some dovetails that allow these clamps to be attached to each other. This immediately doubles the capacity of your clamp so that you can tackle some of those larger glue ups. The clamps are perfect for cabinet glue ups as well as box glue ups. With that larger capacity, you can be assured you're getting the clamping force that you need. Next on our list is a tool that I recently covered that transforms a 5-gallon bucket or a dog tool into a useful caddy. And apparently from a lot of your comments, this is something that's been around for a few years. This is the Bucketeer. This is the perfect item for that honey-do list. You can grab only the tools you need and take it to exactly where you want. You simply take the Bucketeer Bucket Boss and you slide it over the exterior and the interior of a 5-gallon bucket. This will give you plenty of storage both on the interior as well as the exterior of the bucket so that you can take all the tools you need. And this thing's got a lot of storage, both on the exterior as well as the interior, so you really shouldn't run out of room. So if you're looking for a quick portable tool solution for that honey-do list, the Bucket Boss has got you covered. Our next two items on our list are two of the higher priced items of 2023, and there's a reason for that. They're both digital and they're both precision tools. Our first item is the Reekon M1, and this is a digital precision measuring device for your miter saw. This digital device easily clamps on to almost any miter saw. Once this tool is installed and calibrated, it easily allows you to make repetitive and accurate cuts. And these cuts are indeed accurate. I performed a number of tests with this tool and I got some excellent results. Now this tool won't replace your stop block, but it will give you another avenue to produce a lot of cuts in a short period of time. And after using this tool for a number of months, I can honestly say I have the confidence to trust the measurements on this tool.
Confidence is very sexy.
Another digital tool that I added to my shop this year is over at the planer. Let's go take a look. This is the Wixey digital readout for planers. This tool has been a game changer for me when I'm trying to reproduce the same thickness and material when I'm dealing with rough cut lumber that has different thicknesses. Instead of having to rely on the dials that came with my planer, I can dial in my measurements digitally and know that I'm getting an accurate measurement. And most importantly, I can adjust my planer and go back to the original measurement knowing that I'm going to get the exact same cut. And this all saves a ton of time when I'm milling my lumber. Now that we've covered our digital, let's go back to analog and talk about our next 6 tools which have everything to do with measurement. First up, we have the Morgan Square, and when we couple this with a tape measure, this tool becomes quite amazing. With the tape measure attached and the onboard storage for a carpenter pencil, this thing can make framing a breeze. As you can see, the square is 1.5 inches wide, which is the exact thickness of a 2x4. And with your tape measure attached to the end of your 2x4, you can easily scribe out your lines at 16 on center or any other measurement. And with your tape measure aligned with the center line, you can strike a line on both sides of the square to get where your 2x4 will land. It's a pretty cool design and an excellent tool to assist you with your framing. Our next 3 tools are also squares, but of 3 different sizes. Let's check out our first one. This is a square that I got because of its simplicity.
It's so tiny.
It's about 1.5 inches wide at its base and 2.5 inches tall, and it's perfect to fit into your pocket. And that's exactly where I keep this thing. I put this in the pocket of my apron and I can pull it out whenever I need to check for square. I specifically like it for quick calibration tests for things like my table saw. And having quick access to a square with a small stature like this is a great way to ensure that your projects come out nicely in the end. Our next square is also quite small, but it has a couple of extra features that the red one doesn't. This is the FastCap magnetic micro square, and you can tell by the patina on this square, this thing gets a lot of use. Now you could use this square to set up your projects as it does have a lip and it does have measurements on the interior and exterior of the square. But for me, this square lives over at the table saw. And that's because this square has 2 magnets on the base. Therefore, I can attach it to the table of my table saw and know it's going to be here whenever I need it. And this square has imperial on one side and metric on the other. And the nice thing about having a magnetic base is that you can make sure that you're referencing your table saw blade to the table versus the actual blade guard. So if you're looking for a square for your table saw, this is a great option. You can simply attach it to your table saw table and know it's going to be there whenever you need it. The last square that we're going to talk about today is one that impressed me because it has 3 features that I hadn't seen in any other square. And this square is called the Swanson Framing Wizard. Let me tell you the 3 features that I like about this square. The first thing that I like about this square is that it's big. It's about 16 inches tall and 17.5 inches wide. This can be perfect for laying out your plywood or setting up those larger projects. The second thing that I like about this square is that it's collapsible. This means you can take a square with you in a lot of places that you normally wouldn't. Having a square that will fit in your toolbox is something that I've just never encountered. The third and final thing that I like about this square is that if you unscrew this knob and remove this piece, this square instantly has a lip.
Nice.
And this instantly gives this square the ability to support itself, which other framing squares just don't have. Well, that takes us through 18 tools and only 2 more items to talk about. Now, our next 2 items aren't necessarily tools, but they're tool brands. These are 2 tool brands that I've been really impressed with in 2023. The first tool brand is Woodraphic. Now, I've dug into this brand at length, and if you'd like to learn more about this tool brand, check out this video right here. These are great tools that are alternatives to the more expensive woodpeckers. And in fact, I may have a new favorite square. For years, I've been using the Woodpecker's 642 for almost every single one of my projects. But the new Woodworking M1 has been my go-to square for the last few months. Our last brand is Goingmake. Now here I have their T-squares, but I dug into a lot of their tools this year, and I've been really impressed with the quality output that this company is manufacturing. If you'd like to see some more videos about this brand, check out these videos here. Well, that about covers it. Those were my top 20 tools that I featured on this channel for 2023. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today on checking out all of these tools. I really appreciate all the growth I've gotten over the last year, and I thank each and every one of you. Let's make 2024 another great year. Thanks for joining me today, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a like, as it really does help out this small woodworking channel. Until next time, take care as always.